Hi everyone, Vian from Mountain Road here, and today I've got another cool tech video for you all about how to create this awesome iPad setup for your Lightning port iPad devices. So if you're a regular follower of Mountain Road, you'll know that here at Mountain Road we stand for living a healthy, balanced lifestyle. And I'm going to give you quick 3 reasons why I think this iPad setup is going to be just right for you. Now, at Mountain Road, we break down our active, healthy lives into 4 components: live, play, bloom, and thrive. And with this setup, you can actually see how you can hit on 3 of those. First off, live. So why did I build this setup? Well, I wanted to live a healthier, active lifestyle. First of all, with this higher iPad setup, I believe that I could get the iPad at eye level, thereby sitting upright, getting my core engaged, and just being a little bit more active while sitting at the desk. Second, play. So for me, it's all about having a more productive workflow. Having the mouse, having the keyboard, having my external devices close by so I can plug them in and get the job done quicker allows me to get the work done and get outside where I really want to be. Play. And then third of all, thrive. Throughout this video, while I walk you through my setup, you're going to hear me mention how many times I reused and repurposed all things that I already had lying around. You'll hear about this setup and some of the other connectors that I have, and how I just reused them. At the end of the day, that means less money that I have to go and spend out on new gadgets, and ultimately, at the end of the day, that leads to a healthier lifestyle from a financial standpoint, allowing you to thrive from that. Right, so you're going to need a couple of things to achieve this same setup. And if you're really keen and almost a step-to-step guide on how I went about setting up this desk, do check out our blog post. I go into a lot of detail in there with links to a lot of the items that I used in the setup. So make sure you follow that link in the description below and head over to our blog where you'll find plenty more detail on that. While you're in the description below, if you like our stuff, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out, and I'm pretty sure you'll find regular content very helpful in the future. Alright, so with all those benefits said, let's get into how I actually created this iPad desk setup. Alright, so let's get started with this setup. As you can see, what I currently have is my trusty old Lightning port iPad. This is still the 9.7 inch iPad Pro, the original iPad Pro from way back in 2015 that I bought in 2016. I've been using since. And what you can also see on the table, this is the Bluetooth keyboard that I've been using up until now. And this is the Bridge keyboard. And so this is what I wanted to try and move away from when building my desk setup. Obviously you can see when I connect these and I work with this, such a small device in front of you on the desk that it really is a little difficult, and it kind of creates bad posture when you're sitting at the desk. So let's get started. The first thing you're going to need for this setup will be the Apple camera connector. So what you can see here, this is a connector that goes from the Lightning port on this side. It has a Lightning port on this side as well, and then the USB port on this. And so what you're going to do is ultimately connect your charging cable, and that's going to go into that side of the connector. And this can then connect in on the iPad. And so that's step number 1, because what we ultimately want to get to is the point where we can connect external devices to this desk setup. That is the overarching goal, is that we want to see if we can connect some hard drives to this. All right, now step 1 done. Obviously, and if you have seen any of these things dangling on the side of any iPad, this just doesn't fit the bill for me when it comes to having a sleek, minimalistic design for an Apple device. It's just so clunky. So that was the goal, is to try and see how we can get this thing tucked away a little bit. So obviously, you know, I'm not going to be able to work with such a small piece of extension cord there. So I thought, well, let's get a stand. I want to hide this connector in some way. And so that's where I decided, well, I'm going to get this nice little desk stand. So it will serve two purposes. You can see obviously there's a bit of height to this. So the first purpose is just to lift that iPad up off the table a little bit, and the way this one connects is fairly easy. It just drops down into place. But now still, if I go back to my original setup of having this connector in there, it's just still too short. I can't do anything with it. It's just still dangling here on the side. It looks so unsightly. I don't want something like this on the side of my desk setup. So we had to come up with another plan. And this is where we're going to bring in the lightning extender cable. So that's the idea. Let's see if we can actually hide that ugly unsightly thing by just plugging in a lightning extender cable. So you can see it's got the lightning port on the one side and then a port that it takes to connect your lightning device in. So essentially it can loop into itself, but we're going to plug it on the side. And now I've got a little bit of extra cable that I can use to go in on the back of the iPad. And that's exactly what I wanted to do. So if you take a look at what I've kind of designed here on the back of the iPad, you can see that I've now created a spot where, through the use of some Velcro, stick-on Velcro, I can attach this connector. And the reason why I did that is because whenever I travel, I do want to take this thing along when I use it with my Bluetooth keyboard. So let's stick that on there. Can use some cable clips. That's what I've attached there, is this little nice little cable clip, and just connect in the extender cable there as well. So now the front facing view actually looks fairly clean. You don't even see that sitting on the desk in front of you. That connector is now neatly tucked away in the back. I can still bring in my power cable, and we're going to get to how we're going to use the rest of this setup going forward. So there we have at least the first part of this setup. How to just take an iPad, get it in the stand, get the connector, but then truly hide it by just putting it on the back, but still have it accessible through the Velcro straps. Right, so if you're following along, we've now completed the first step, or the first part of our setup. The next challenge is really to now start working with this external device option that you've got. Now I've got one port that I can use, a USB plug, that then feeds into my lightning port, to really now start building some kind of a setup that I can use external devices. Now I wanted to have at least two. So you can see the first thing that I have here, this is a nice little USB plug to SD card reader. I've got two slots there, one for your regular SD and then one for the micro SD card. So I wanted to create a setup where I can have this also connect my external hard drive, because since the update to the iPad with iPadOS 13, the iPad can now read external drives like this, the SSD hard drive that I have here. I will definitely recommend using an SSD drive and not the old HDD drives. This just so much less power intensive, because you'll see in a minute we're really going to have to build this rig to be able to handle power very well. So right now I've got the dilemma. Obviously I want to be able to connect this and this all at the same time, and I only have one USB plug. Alright, so if you're wondering, this is going to go stand on my desk right now. And first, just to extend the cable a little bit, because clearly you're not going to be able to fit this all on the back of your setup, I'm bringing in one USB extender cable. And you can see this is a fairly old one. I had this one lying around the house. So I just thought, well, let's reuse it. I've already owned it, so why not use it? And that is where this one goes in. Then it just plugs in at the bottom of the iPad. So now I've got an extended cable that feeds from the back of the cable, and I can take this wherever I want to. So this is still your power cord. I'm just going to move that out of the way. It's still going to be connected at the bottom as well. And I've got my one USB plug that I can obviously readjust and put where I want to. And this is where the next piece to our puzzle comes in. And as I mentioned, the power management really is the key part of this all. And so I thought, all right, let's bring a multi-USB hub. So I bought this one, the Amazon Basics one. It's a 4-port one, but the very important part to this is that this is a powered USB port. So it's got a power connector that goes in on the side over here. That's plugged in. This again is going to go to your power outlet. I'm just going to drop that out of the way so we can see what this setup looks like. And so now I've got my multi-USB port that I'm going to plug into my USB extender cable. So obviously this is going to be able to feed in, and you can see this is the reason why I wanted to have this extender cable. I don't want this ugly thing again sitting on the back of my iPad. Maybe if you do want to get creative, which I tried, you know, is to put some more Velcro strap on there. You can possibly stick it to the back there as well if you want to, but I figured for this setup I'm going to move this USB hub away from the iPad, and that's where the extender cable comes in. So extender cable runs into the powered USB hub, and clearly now I have the option to plug in my external hard drive, and this will now be able to be read in the Files app on the new iPadOS 13. So I'll be able to get this hard drive to work. The next step of the puzzle, obviously, I also wanted to connect this thing. And since I'm going to move this this USB hub away from the iPad, I also needed some way of not just plugging it in here and then having to dig behind a table or somewhere where I'm going to hide this hub. But I needed to find a way to move it away from there, and that is where I'm going to bring in, again, one more USB extender cable. This one is a kind of cool one. Again, something that I had lying around in the house. Again, I'm going to just throw it in here and reuse something that I already own. And you can see this one again also plugs in to my hub, and then this allows me to plug in my SD card reader, and this now becomes a nice little thing I can actually put on the desktop, you know, right there. Just looks very cool, very accessible. All I have to do is reach over and then plug in my SD cards to have this be read. All right, we're getting there. And there you have the setup so far to have your cable hidden behind the iPad, feeding into a powered USB hub. And from the powered USB hub, I'm able to plug in my external hard drive and then also my SD card reader. Alright, so we're making nice progress, but clearly you can see what the big problem is right now. Just so many wires. And this is what you want to try and avoid at all costs when you want to create a nice, sleek looking desk. And that's essentially where the next big piece of this puzzle comes in. Not only did I want to lift this iPad off the table a little bit with the use of this nice stand, but I felt like it was still just not at that correct eye level. I wanted to lift it just that little bit higher, and that's where this next piece of the puzzle is going to come in super handy. It's not just only going to lift up the iPad, but it's also at the same time going to be a place where I can hide this whole messy setup. So let's move this all out of the way, and I'm going to show you what we're going to bring into the setup next. So the next big piece comes into the puzzle here, and this is a nice old-fashioned desk monitor razor stand. So what this was used for back in the day when we had those big clunky old desktop computers, this was standing in front of you on your desk, and it just allowed you to lift up that screen a little bit. And the reason why I like it, you can actually see this nice little container here, or the storage tray here, serves two purposes for me. It gives me ability to now lift the stand up just a little bit higher. So if I put this down on the desk, I now have just that extra little bit of height when I work on this desktop, and it really allows me to just have the iPad at that exact eye level where I want to see it. Okay, so far we've connected all these cables at the back. So you can see what I do. I actually make use of this cable clip organizer here at the back, and that just allows me to nicely connect in the cables, and it now just runs neatly off the back of the stand. This desk then you obviously push up against the wall, and you don't see the wires as they drop off on the back end. Alright, and so if we go back over to our original plan where we had now this extender cable, and you can see why this extender cable was so important, where it connected in with my powered USB hub like here, what it now allows me to do is actually hide this USB hub. So again, that nice little container, the storage tray at the bottom, I can pop that in there, set it in there, and now I've essentially hidden the USB hub here at the back, which means when I look at it from the front of the view, this powered USB hub is sitting here at the back, all tucked away and out of sight. So that's essentially why I wanted to have this desk raiser stand in the first place, because not only does it lift up the iPad just that little bit higher, but it also hides that powered USB hub right at the back very nicely. Alright, so again, we can bring in all our additional connectors. This is my SD card reader connected to this external, the extender cable for the USB. So again, that's why I wanted that nice little foot piece. It sits neatly in the corner, and I can again plug in here at the back on my powered USB hub. That goes in there, and again, nicely tucked out of the way and hidden inside my the back of my Razer stand. And then as the last step, I can also bring in my external hard drive, which I like to sort of just set up right there on the top of my desktop. And again, that is going to go into my powered USB hub, and neatly tucking away the powered USB hub at the back where nobody can see it. All right, so there we have it. This is our desktop setup thus far. But you can clearly see one problem and the last piece to this puzzle that's missing. We need some way to interact with the iPad. Right, so for the interaction of the iPad, this is where I'm going to go back to that iPadOS 13 and the super cool new features that came with it. Because for the first time, we're now able to connect an external mouse to the iPad. And there's plenty of videos out there to show you exactly how to go about doing that. You're going to find it in the accessibility setting, touch, assistive touch, and then you can connect your external mouse, your Bluetooth mouse. So this was super handy for me, because now on a desk setup like this, you don't want to be having your hand up in the air trying to tap on the screen the whole time. Having this mouse feature, being able to move around on the screen with that, and then interacting with your iPad through that just saves so much time other than having to tap on the screen. And then the last piece to this puzzle is, again, something that I already owned, and I figured, you know, let's bring it into the mix. And it's this old Apple iMac keyboard. And you can see this is still a wired one. So going back to my powered USB hub, I have the ability to power devices like that. And that's exactly why I wanted the powered USB hub. Because now I can plug in my keyboard at the back there. It's going into my USB hub that's sitting at the back. And this keyboard is actually really cool, and the reason why I like it is because I just think that these old keys are just so much nicer to type in. They're not as plastic and flimsy as the new keyboards. They really still have such a nice step to them. In addition to that, you've got the numbers keypad here, which you don't find on a lot of the newer models. So that was a big addition. But then the biggest thing, and you're really gonna like this, on each side of this keyboard sits a USB plug. So that really makes this useful, because this is now going into a powered USB hub. There's some power transfer coming through this keyboard, which means I can use these USB ports for charging a phone or charging my GoPro cameras, and they work perfectly for that reason. So this is definitely a feature that sort of fell away over the years with having a USB plug at the side of each side of your keyboard. And for me, this has just been super cool to have. And then obviously, given the fact that I've got this Razer stand, another benefit of it, it just hides the keyboard nicely. I can store it in there, and whenever I work on it, it just comes out and I can type away on my keyboard. Right, and so there you have it, my full iPad desk setup, all running from the Lightning port, feeding into that Apple connector, going through into my powered USB hub tucked at the bottom, and from there I can plug in my SD card reader, I can plug in my external SSD hard drive, easily allowing me to copy files from the cards over onto the hard drive. It works perfectly. I've tested this. A little slower on all the iPads. I'm not gonna lie about that. Obviously, with the new iPad Pros with their USB-C ports, they're gonna be much quicker. it does the job. If you need something on the fly, something just to take along, this setup is going to work perfectly. Along with that, you've got the ability to interact with your iPad. You've got a nice mechanical keyboard with everything you need, along with your mouse to move around the pointer. So this super cool setup, I can highly recommend this. If you want to replicate it, make sure you check out our blog. I'm going to put all the links to a lot of these accessories in there. Follow along step by step for another read on how to actually set up this desk for yourself. And with that, I really hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to like and subscribe to our channel, check out the blog, and until next time, have a nice and productive day.